Good day, everyone, and welcome to today's class. Abdurrahman is my name. In some of the videos we have done in the past, we have been talking about cost of capital, where we have different cost of capital for different sources of capital that we have. So all combined, it is called the cost of capital because all this money put together, they are all known as what? As capital in which the company uses to do what? To finance its operations. By that, therefore, each of these sources of capital have their cost, such as we have for equity, in which we call it what? Cost of equity. We have for preference shares, in which we call it what? Cost of preference shares. Also, we have for debenture, in which we also call it what? Cost of debenture. In that sense, therefore, in a particular company, a company is financing its operation with different sources of capital, such as what? Which are what? Equity, preference share, and also debenture. Sometimes you can also see companies, these are long-term sources of capital, which we have talked about: equity, preference share, and debenture. These are long-term sources of capital, sources of finance for the company. But sometimes you might have a case whereby the company also finances its operation with short-term sources of finance, in which, under normal circumstances, the short-term source of finance should not be incorporated in computing the cost of what? The cost of capital for the company. Such as example of such short-term source of finance is what? Bank overdraft, bank loan. The company should not use it to do what? To normally, under normal circumstances, it should not be a component of what? In which we used to compute the cost of capital for the company, because it's a long-term source of capital. But if the examiner in a particular question said, but if you have a scenario whereby the short-term source of finance is used for what? For long-term process, long-term running of the company, then we tend to do what? We tend to use it in computing our overall cost of capital for the company. But in a case whereby it is not used for that, it shouldn't be used at all in computing the cost of capital for the company. Having said that, now let's look at the source of capital which you have talked about so far, which is what? Which are equity, preference share, and debenture. So in a particular company, we have three basic different sources of capital. And it will not be possible for a company to be having three costs of capital in a particular company. It will be very tedious in appraisal project, because this cost of capital we are talking about here will be used to do what? To appraise subsequent projects in which the company wants to embark on. By that, therefore, there is need to do what? To look for the average of all these sources of capital in which we have been talking about, in order for the company to have a single cost of capital. By that, therefore, it can be using that source of capital, that single source of capital, which is what? The average cost of capital of the components of the three sources of capital which you have talked about. It will not have one, in which it will not be using that one to do what? To appraise its project. That is why we have now come to what we now call weighted average cost of capital, which is what? Which is WACC. But in a scenario whereby a company is wholly, that is 100% financed with equity, let's say for example, 100% financed with equity, that it does no what? It does no debenture. In its what? It does no preference share, it does no debenture. Only what? Ordinary share equity in its finance, as a source of finance. In that wise, therefore, the cost of equity will serve as what? As the WACC, which is also the cost of capital for the company. That is an area whereby a company is what? 100% financed with equity. But in a case whereby the company is what? Is financed with different sources of capital, such as what? The equity, preference share, and debenture. In that case, we need to do what? We need to look for the average weighted. We need to look for the weighted average cost of capital for the company in which they're going to do what, in which the company will use to do what, to finance, to appraise its subsequent projects. Having said that, what are the methods of what, of computing this weighted average cost of capital? Basically, we have book value. We can compute our weighted average cost of capital using what? Using what? Book value. So let's say method of computing cost of capital. We can also work with, so let's say method. So this methods of computation. Okay, so we have what? Book value. So we also have what? The market value. By this, we can compute the weighted average cost of capital for the company. Before we go to that, another name for weighted average cost of capital is called what? Composite cost of capital. Another name for weighted average cost of capital is also called what? Composite cost of capital. Okay, now we said we have two methods of computations, which are book value and market value. Book value, as the name suggests, it is the value of equity, preference share, and debenture standing in your book, standing in the book of account of the company. That is why we call it what? Book value. But this one, in this case, we call it what? Market value. What is market value? As the name suggests as well, market. This is the value of the finances in the market. As we normally know that, market value changes from time to time, depending on the demand and supply, first of demand and supply in the market. So sometimes the value of the market, of the value of the particular company shares, companies stocks will go up, sometimes they come down, depending on the points of demand and supply. So that is the value we are talking about here, the value that obtains in the market, the value of the company that obtains in the market, in the stock exchange market, in the public market. Okay, having said that, basically these are the two ways in which you compute what? WACC. But market value has great advantage over book value. If you are not specifically to use your book value to compute your weighted average cost of capital, you have to use your market value. Because market value, it shows the true reflection, true position of the company. I mean, the current position of the company, market value shows it. Why book value shows what? Historical cost, it's historical value rather. This shows historical value, why market value shows the current value of the company. In other words, therefore, so before you even go to computations, another thing to say about market value is about book value rather, is that if you are using book value, your value of equity will be equal to ordinary shares plus reserve under book value. When you say book value, so book value of what? Value of equity is equal to ordinary shares, value of ordinary shares in value, ordinary shares plus what? Plus reserve. Because this value of what? Of the reserve is what is part of the equities holders' wealth. Just that this reserve is not paid to them, but part of what's supposed to be their benefit, the reserve is for the company. So in the long run, the value of equity is equal to what? The ordinary share plus what? Plus reserve, if you have reserve in the question. So that is that for what? For book value. That is to say, if you are using book value, you have to consider reserve when you are computing your what? The value of equity. Okay. But market value doesn't. Market value doesn't consider reserve. Because reserve has no value in the market. Reserve is just sitting down in the company in the company's book, which has no value. It has no value in the market, as simple as that. So market value has nothing to do with reserve. While book value, it has what? Value of equity, total value of equity, not because of ordinary share plus reserve. Okay, so that is that for book value and market value. That is just the difference between book value and market value. Having said this, let's now quickly look at a computation in which we can use to compute our WACC. But there is also a scenario, there's a question in which normally arises that how can we compute the cost of capital for a private company? A company that is not listed on the markets, on the stock, in the public markets. How can we compute? Are we not going to be appraising projects? Yes, definitely be appraising projects. How can we now compute the cost of equity? I mean the cost of capital rather for such company. The scenario, the assumption is that what you are going to do is to do what to just look for a similar quoted company that resemble the private company. Look for a similar quoted company that almost have the same feature with that of the private company. Pick the company cost of capital and add element of what? Element of risk, premium for risk. And add a risk premium to it. That is, pick the cost of capital of a public quoted company and add premium for risk. Because that private company may be risky, it's risky. Because it's not listed, it doesn't know how it performs, how it performs. But they want to quote a cost of capital for it, to look for a similar quoted company that has almost the same feature, almost the same thing, almost the revenue in terms of revenue, income, gross income, and stuff like that. Look for a similar quoted company like that, and to pick the company cost of capital and add premium to it. This premium for risk can be represented. You have the assumption, you have to stick to it anyway. Okay. Having said this, let's now go into computation of weighted average cost of capital. Let's take this question. Example. Say Watford PLC. Watford PLC account shows the following capital structure. We have it in Naira. We have the Naira column here. We have 1 Naira. We have 1 Naira. What Naira ordinary share? What Naira ordinary share? At what? 3 million. Not nice, 3 million reserve. Reserves, we have it to be 3 million as well. 3 million and 10% dimension. 10% debenture. We have it at what, 1.5. 1,500,000. So the total value of the company now be what? 7,500,000. Okay, that is the total capital of the company. So we now show that market value. We're given the market values of the above are as follows. Market value of the above are as follows. Ordinary share, I say OS, I mean ordinary share, OS means ordinary share. Ordinary share of 3 naira 70 kobo, 3.7 each. SDIF, debenture stock is what? 80 naira. 80 naira. So the cost of equity, okay, cost of equity is equal to, estimated to be 18%. Find the cost of debt. Cost of debt is equal to 7.5% after tax. So you are required to compute the company's WACC. You are required to compute the company's WACC using book value and market value. This is the question. You have to compute the company's WACC using book value and market value. No, I am telling you about here. Are we together? So we compute what? The WACC of the company using book value and market value. Using book value. Okay. If you are using the book value, so let's compute the cost of equity. So this is the total value of the company. And we say weight. It means a particular figure over the total sum of the total. 1 over divided by overall. So using book value, now let's compute the cost of what? The value of equity. Let's compute the value of equity. The value of equity we said is what? Ordinary shares plus what? Plus reserve. Which is what to? Which is equal to, what is our ordinary shares? That's 3 million. 3 million. Plus what is the reserve? Reserve 2 is 3 million. Which is equal to what? What is it? We have it to be 6 million. So that is for what? For equity. For debt, our debt doesn't change. So the value of our debt is what? 1.5. 1,500,000. So which now give us 7.5, 7,500,000. Okay, so this is the value now. So we have matched, you can see that the value of equity has changed. Ordinary share plus reserve. We got 3 million plus 3 million give us 6 million. And we have it that way. Okay, now let's now compute our WACC. I don't know if I can rub this area. Okay, we have it already. Let me just rub this area so that we can solve it. Okay, let this go. Now, what is the WACC now? You know we are still using book value. So what is the weight of equity? What is the weight of equity? We flashback, we have given us the formula, the approach to use. At least we can use the formula method, the formula approach, and the tabular approach. So let's use the formula approach in this case now. The formula approach is what is the value of equity? The value of equity now is what? 6 million. 6 million. Now is 6 million. 6 million all over the value of the company 7.5 times what? The cost of what? Cost of equity. What is the cost of equity given to us? 0.18 plus what is the value of debt? Value of debt is what? 1.5, 1,500,000 all over 7.5. The value of what? Value of equity. Value of debt, the value of the company 7.5. So times what? Cost of debt. What's our cost of debt? 7.5. That is what? 0.075. Okay. Now, what is this? Let's compute this. Let's compute it and see what we are going to have. Let's compute that and see what we are going to have. So 6 million divided by 7.5 multiplied by 0.18. So what do we have? We have 0.144. So 0.144 plus this plus and plus. What is this? The other part for the debt, we have it to be 1,500,000 divided by 7,500,000 multiplied by 0.075. So we have it to be 0.015. 0.015. We sum it on. What do we have? Okay. So we have 15.9%. We have it to be what? 15.9%. So this is what? Weighted average cost of capital for the company now, using the book value. This is our weighted average cost of capital for the company using the book value. So because if we are to say if you are to use equity, we don't have pick what this cost of equity 0.18%. You have to use debt. So there will be confusion on which cost of capital to use. So therefore now we have a new one. We have one which now serve as what the cost of capital to use. So that is that using what? Using the book value. What is that using the book value? So let's now look at market value. I'll use book value now. Let's now look at market value. Let the question remains there. Let the question remains. So let's now look at what? Market value. So in using market value, let's drop this. Now using market value. using market value. Using market value. Okay, let's compute the value of our equity. We are going to compute the value of equity using market value given to us, and the value of debt using the market value given to us. No, we say it's market value. So equity now, value of equity will now be equals to, in a bracket. So what is the equity given to us in the question? Equity is ordinary share. What the equity given to us is 3 million. Is what? 3 million now, which is one ordinary share, which is what? 3 million. So, and you are having how many units do you bought then? That is what? You bought 3 million at 1 naira, so it's now still be 3 million. So, 3 million multiplied by the market value of ordinary share. Market value of ordinary share, which is what? 3.7. Look at it. Let's now put it to as what? To XDiv. We have it as what? As also as what? As XDiv. That's what we are saying here. Assuming this market value is what? Is CumDiv, it means we are going to do what to? They will have given us information about what? About dividend. In which we are going to do what? Remove less what? The element of dividend in the market value. But this one they have given to us specifically as what? Market value given to us is what? It's XDiv. X dividend. So therefore we are going to use it direct. So 3.7. 3.7. So, what is it? What do you have? 3 million times 3.7. 3 million multiplied by 3.7. 11,100,000. 11 million. Okay. So for debt, what is the value? What is the unit of debt? What is the debt we have? So 10% debenture. That is what? Giving to us as 1.5. So 1.5. You can solve this using two methods anyway. I'll just show you the second one. 1.5 multiplied by, what is the market value? So it's selling as what? At 80 naira. 80 naira. So divided by 80 all over 100. So let me show you the second one. So you see, you are still going to arrive at the same answer. So what do you have? What do you have now? That is what? 1.5, 1,500,000 multiplied by 0.8. 80 divided by 100, that is 0.8. 0.8. What do we have? We have 1.2 million. 1,200,000. Solve it. What are we going to have? That is 12,300,000. So this is the value of the company now. This is the value of the company. Now let me explain what I'm trying to say here. In some of our previous videos under cost of debenture, I said that a unit of debenture is sold for what? For 100 naira. For 100 naira. That is, if you want to know how many units of debenture you have, that let you have it in what? In value, in naira value like this, in value. How many units of debenture do you purchase them? To let you have it in naira value, this form, what are you going to do? It means you're going to divide this 100 or 1.5 million. Divided by what? Divided by 100. It's still the same thing. It means this 100 you're having here, it will just be here. At this 1.5, 1,500,000 divided by 100, we have it to be what? 15,000. So now it will be 15,000. So if you now check that, 15,000 multiplied by what? Now you will not be having the 100 here again. Assuming you want to use the 80 naira given to you direct, that's what I'm saying here. Let me work it out. This is what I'm saying. This is what I'm talking about. This is unit. We have this 3 million here basically just because it is what 1 naira per share. Now in this case now for the venture, assuming this is 50 cover that we have here, it means you are going to do what divided by 50, so by the unit. You have to get the unit. Multiply it by this. So I mean it means typically this you are talking about half of the 3 million. But it's because we have in 1 naira, that's why we are also having the 3 million naira here, 3 million there. Ordinary share. Okay, but in this case of the venture, he said the unit sold for what? For 100 naira. So how many units did he now bought then? So invariably you are saying 1,500,000 divided by 100. In order for you to know the unit you bought then. So what are you going to have? This will cancel this. Or to be having what? 15,000. But now multiply the 15,000 by what? By 80. You are going to have 1.2. That's what I'm saying there. Okay? Okay, so let's leave it like that. Now we have the value of the company this way. What is now the WACC, the weighted average cost of capital, using market value? Just as we have stated it, we have used the formula method. Then, so let's now use the tabular method. We have used the formula method under the book value. Let's now use the tabular method under the market value. So we say you are using market value, you are using tabular formula method. You start by what? Setting your table type. Market value. I'm sure it's market value. You have your cost of capital. You have the what? Hash total. Okay, under your type, what do we have? We have equity. What is market value? That is what? 11,100,000. So what is the cost of capital given to us in the question? That is 18%. That is 0.18. So for debt, for your debt, the venture means debt. So your debt, what do we have there? What is the value of market value of debt? That is 1,200,000. 1,200,000. So what is the cost of capital given to us for cost of debt after tax? That is 0.0. That is 7.5%. That is what? 0.075. Now let's now get it. So this is A. We call this A. We call this B. I call this one C, which is what? C is equal to what? To A times B. Okay, if that is the case, let's now multiply it. This is 8%. Now 18 rather. This is 18. So 11. $11,100,000. So multiply by 0.18. What do you have there? We have it to be 1,998,000. 1,998,000. Okay. 11,100,000. Okay, 11,100,000 multiplied by 0.18. Okay, yes. So 1.2, 1,200,000 multiplied by 0.075. What do we have? We have 90,000. We have it to be 90,000. 90. Okay. So let's now sum it up. Let's sum it up. So this one will give us 12,300,000. Why this one will give us let's add it up. 90,000 plus 1998. 208 20 88 88 000. So okay, now let's now compute our WACC. Let's compute our WACC. Oh, we have the question already. So let's compute our WACC. So WACC is equal to hash total divided by market value. Over total market value. Total of hash total over what total of market value. Total market value. So is equal to what? 2,088,000 all over 12,300,000. What do you have? What do you have there? Divided by what do we have? We have it to be 16.9. 16.9. 16.9. 16.9%. Yeah, so that is how to compute your weighted average cost of capital. So therefore, by that, you'll be having just a single cost of capital for the company as a whole, instead of having different sources of capital for the company. We'll be having a single cost of capital for the company. That's why we call it weighted average cost of capital. By this, you can then be appraising your project using this cost of capital for the company. You can be appraising your project using this cost of capital for the company. So by this, that is what we are talking about under weighted average cost of capital. By this, we come to the end of weighted average cost of capital for today's class. Please, if you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, kindly click on the subscribe button. Yes, I need it. Please click on the subscribe button in order for you to do to be receiving subsequent videos on financial management. Very soon, we will now be doing about practical, theoretical aspect of financial management. We will also be talking about how to make this money, real money. So we'll be giving us videos. I shall be doing very soon videos on e-commerce, on how to make money, and to apply all these principles we have been talking about, on how to be financially buoyant. So kindly click on the subscribe button and give any comments you have in order to improve on this, or any other comment you have, a suggestion you have. So click on the comments, put in your comments, and I shall work on the comments area, and we shall be here together, happy together. And besides, my joy is for you to understand and to be able to do for students preparing for examinations, for you to understand and pass your exam and come out in flying colors. So watch out for my next videos on other topics I'll be talking about under financial management. Thank you and keep watching. Please, you can share this link, introduce your friends to it, share it with your friends, don't keep it to yourself alone, share it with your friends and loved ones. So from there, let them to benefit from you. Thank you and keep watching and stay tuned till we meet next time. Thank you.